Technology for CLD learners with disabilities and the digital divide. Technology for CLD learners with disabilities and the digital divide. Duolingo learning overview. Duolingo is one of the most popular and unique language learning tools in the world. It has helped students change their attitude toward learning throughout their education and future lives. The platform's learning system is based on gaming, where traditional language learning is to an exciting and amusing process. Duolingo enables learners to establish language proficiency through reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Monday, 2017. A scientifically based curriculum divided into small learning/teaching portions, sequentially organized to provide an individual lesson, connecting each lesson to increased learning gradually and comply with school leaders' licensure assessment. SLLA. Enforcement of language skills happens in multiple ways to encourage education for all learning types. Duolingo involves pair activities that include matching, forming, speaking, and listening comprehension sections. These strategies ensure that students get to the target language in different capacities. Its learning algorithm adapts to each student's performance. Monday, 2017. It reveals the areas where a learner is likely to have difficulty. Sets the application to offer more problems within that type of knowledge. The adaptive approach guarantees that students will be given remedial assistance on content in which they require more help while progressing through content they have grasped with ease. The platform involves elements such as streaks, achievements, and competitive leaders to motivate learners. Teski 17. Strengths. Multimodal learning support. Duolingo presents more than one mode of learning through visuals, sounds, and interactivity. For instance, students get an image preview, the sound of a native speaker's pronunciation, and task-related words when learning new vocabulary. Teski 2017. This multisensory approach is especially advantageous to more than one modality due to learning disabilities. Visuals and animations are sufficient for visual learners, while audio learners require clear pronunciation guides and interactivity. McLaughlin and Resta, 2020. Adaptive learning a technologically developed system whose built-in mechanism varies with the student's performance level and speed of learning. If a particular learner is consistently performing poorly in some areas, the system offers more exercises in those areas. On the other hand, if a student can show proficiency, the feature allows the student to progress at a faster pace. Teski 2017. Is beneficial for students with impairments since some content may take relatively more time to sink into their brains than other learners. They do not feel that the other learners have left them behind or do not find an adequate challenge in the course. Cultural representation and inclusivity. Duolingo represents various characters based on culture and content that is in line with multiple language diversities. The platform presents characters from multicultural origins. Culture is incorporated into lessons carefully so that the learning process is as close to real life as possible for students of different origins. This representation applies to the use of different accents in audio materials and other cultural expressions in linguistic activities. Stress-free learning environment. The platform promotes a low-risk setting that allows students to rehearse and commit errors in their practice without pervasive judgment. Compared to the case of a traditional class, students can view content more than once, pause whenever they wish, and learn at their own convenient pace. This feature is helpful for CLD students with disabilities who may have stress while in-class learning. Smith, 2020. The private nature of the learning experience means that students practice with the calm assurance that their dignity and self-esteem are not at stake. Structured progress tracking. Duolingo has a neat hierarchy of the organization, with a lot of systems to track progress. It has icons for progress with respect to their online course and goals, achievement icons, and statistics that enable the students to appreciate their learning process. As an off and on approach, This structured technique aims at students with executive functioning difficulties or autism spectrum disorders so that the end goals immediately, practice, receive feedback, and achievements unfold. Successes, Teskey, 2017. It also assists educators and parents in assessing the child and learning of weak subjects that may need reinforcement. Weaknesses: limited language pair. Availability: Duolingo has a language-filled catalog with restrictions as to the language pair for the instruction. Many languages that are extensively used around the world, such as Spanish, French, and are well supported by English. Many languages that are not frequently used have no bilateral support. Monday, 2017. As a result, this challenge puts a lot of limitations. Students, especially those who need help comprehending English fluently, because it compels them to learn through English rather than their first language. For example, a student whose first language is Vietnamese cannot be taught Spanish directly from Vietnamese, which may lead to further strain. Confusion when learning, insufficient accessibility features, compared to Duolingo, a number of accessibility features, but it lacks enough support for students with special needs. It has been identified that screen reader functionality is inadequate to transform the platform, and learners with visual impairments experience difficulties while using it. Navigation without a and other point-and-click devices like keyboard access are partially implemented, making for students with motor disabilities. Smith, 2020, no font size, color control, or line spacing modification, which discourages students with visual or dyslexia. These limitations can significantly affect how learning happens and could potentially alienate some students from the functionality of the platform. Inflexible learning sequence. The platform has a strict progression scheme, which can become disadvantageous for learners who need freedom. Students are required to go through lessons in a particular manner that cannot allow them to use time on a specific difficulty level. This inflexibility may be immensely problematic for students with learning disabilities, who may be more comfortable following a sequence different from what has been provided. In addition, it is disadvantageous that one cannot set the number of lessons or their difficulty. It makes children easily frustrated and demotivated to study as they require time to assimilate the information provided as compared to other students, or they may need shorter lessons instead of shorter lessons. Chapman et al., 2010, limited offline functionality. Duolingo's heavy reliance on internet connectivity presents limited internet access at home, although a few options can be done without an internet connection. Most components, such as pronunciation and speaking, need an active internet connection. This is disadvantageous to CLD students in low-income families because it may exacerbate the digital divide, hence causing gaps in the teaching-learning process. Monday, 2017. The Duolingo platform needs to be supported with comprehensive documentation in a variety of languages. Basic instructions can be found in a number of different languages, and many detailed explanations of grammar, cultural notes, and learning strategies available in English. Since CLD students and their families may require additional assistance with linguistic concepts and how to use the platform effectively, they may need help to overcome enormous barriers. Buchholz et al., 2020, lack of support resources in multiple languages can be very confusing and overwhelming for students with learning disabilities. Most students require explanations in their primary language. Conclusion: Duolingo demonstrates how CLD learners with disabilities through adaptive learning, multisensory approaches. Atmosphere. However, various limitations include the scope of limited language pair, strict offline functionality, and a lack of accessibility features, which affect the efforts to bridge the digital divide. The presence of these challenges has highlighted the necessity for more features that will help to meet the needs of varied learners and close these gaps.